I watched my son film me on his phone while his new wife dumped a bucket of garbage over my head at their wedding reception. Rotting food slid down the lavender dress I'd saved 6 months to buy. 300 guests laughed like I was the evening's entertainment. Ryan, the boy I raised alone for 30 years, just kept recording, his face twisted with the same cruel joy I saw on everyone else. I thought that was the worst moment of my life. I was wrong. What happened when those ballroom doors opened 60 seconds later changed everything. If you want to see how a mother's love can survive the unthinkable, stay until the end. Hit that like button and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far the story travels. The garbage hit me before I understood what was happening. Cold, wet. The smell punched through everything. Spoiled milk, rotting vegetables. Something that might have been fish 3 weeks ago. I stood there in the middle of the dance floor, frozen, while chunky liquid dripped from my hair onto the lavender dress I'd bought on layaway. My son's wedding reception. The happiest day of my life, I told myself that morning. The laughter started small. A giggle from someone near the head table. Then it spread like fire through dry grass. Dozens of guests, then 100, then the entire ballroom roaring with it. I couldn't move, couldn't think. My hands hung useless at my sides while coffee grounds stuck to my fingers and what looked like moldy pasta slithered down my chest. Oh my God, this is perfect, that was Vanessa's voice. My new daughter-in-law, the bride. She stood 5 feet away, holding an empty industrial garbage can, her white dress somehow spotless, her face lit up with pure joy. Someone tell me they got that on video. I got it, babe. Ryan's voice. My son. When I finally managed to turn my head, there he was with his phone pointed straight at me, grinning like he'd just won something. The whole thing, it's hilarious. That word punched the air from my lungs. Hilarious. I'd given birth to him alone in a county hospital at 19. His father had left 2 weeks after I told him I was pregnant. Disappeared so completely I sometimes wondered if I'd imagined him. For 30 years it had been just Ryan and me. I'd worked double shifts as a waitress, then night school to become a dental hygienist, then more double shifts to pay for his college. I'd worn the same winter coat for 12 years so he could have new sneakers. I'd eaten ramen for dinner so he could have real meals. I'd sacrificed every dream, every desire, every piece of myself that wasn't his mother. And now he was filming me covered in garbage while 300 people laughed. Ryan, my voice came out wrong. Small. Why would you? Oh, come on, Mom. He lowered the phone but kept smiling. That smile I'd seen at his first birthday party, his high school graduation, the day he got into college. It's just a joke. Don't be so sensitive. A joke? I looked down at myself. Something slimy was moving in the folds of my dress. Your wife just dumped trash on me in front of everyone you know. Not trash. Vanessa stepped closer, heels clicking on the hardwood. Even now, even doing this, she looked perfect. Model thin, designer wedding dress, blonde hair that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Garbage, there's a difference. Trash is dry. More laughter. Someone near the bar literally applauded. You need to understand something, Evelyn. She said my name like it tasted bad. This is my day. Mine and Ryan's, not yours. You've been trying to make yourself the center of attention since we started planning this wedding. And honestly, it's embarrassing. I haven't... My throat closed. I only asked if I could help with... You asked to approve the menu. You wanted input on the flowers. You kept sending Ryan pictures of dresses asking which one you should wear. Like anyone cares. Vanessa's eyes went cold. You're not the bride, Evelyn. You're not even important. You're just the woman who happened to give birth to him. The room went quiet, not silent. I could still hear music playing somewhere. Glasses clinking, someone's nervous cough. But the laughter stopped. People were watching now, actually watching, like this was a show they'd paid for. Vanessa, I tried to keep my voice steady. I know we haven't always gotten along, but I'm Ryan's mother. I raised him. I love him. This is cruel. It is. Cruel? She laughed, but it sounded nothing like joy. You want to talk about cruel? Try having your fiance's mother call you 15 times a day. Try dealing with someone who acts like her son is still 12 years old. Try planning a wedding, while some woman who can't afford a decent dress keeps reminding everyone that she sacrificed so much. Each word hit like a physical blow. I looked at Ryan, waiting for him to defend me. To tell his wife she'd gone too far. To remember all those nights I'd held him when he cried, all those mornings I'd made him breakfast before school, all those years I'd chosen him over everything else in my life. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Ryan. I took a step toward him, my shoes squelched. Please tell her this isn't okay. Mom. He finally looked at me and I didn't recognize what I saw in his face. Annoyance, embarrassment, something uglier I couldn't name. You're making a scene. Can you just, I don't know, go clean yourself up? You're kind of ruining the vibe. I'm ruining the vibe. Those words from my son about me standing in front of 300 people covered in garbage his wife had poured on me. I think she should stay exactly where she is. That was Vanessa's friend Morgan, one of the bridesmaids. She had her phone out too, recording. This is content gold. My TikTok is going to explode. Right? Vanessa pulled out her own phone. Everyone get your cameras ready. I want pictures with the trash lady. They gathered around me like I was a zoo animal. 6 bridesmaids in coral dresses. Vanessa in her white gown. Ryan hovering at the edge, looking uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to stop them. Phones everywhere, flashes going off. People laughing again as they posed next to me. Vanessa put her arm around my shoulders. I could feel her trying not to actually touch the garbage, and made a face for the camera. This is for all the monster-in-laws out there, she announced. Sometimes you just gotta take out the trash. The crowd went insane, cheering, clapping. Someone started a chant, trash lady, trash lady. I stood there and took it because I didn't know what else to do. This was my son's wedding. These were his friends, his new family. If I ran, if I cried, if I did anything but stand there and take it, I'd be the bad guy. I'd be the one who couldn't take a joke, the sensitive old woman who ruined her son's special day. So I stood there, and I let them. Okay. Vanessa finally stepped back, wrinkling her nose. Seriously though, Evelyn, you need to leave. You're starting to smell, and we have the first dance coming up. She looked at Ryan. Babe, can you get your mother out of here? Some of us are trying to have a nice wedding. Ryan flinched. Actually flinched. For half a second, I thought maybe he'd finally realize what was happening. Maybe he'd see me, really see me, covered in garbage at his wedding, while his wife called me a problem to be removed. Come on, Mom. He took my elbow, careful not to get any garbage on his tux. Let's go. Where? The word came out broken. I don't know, the bathroom, your car, anywhere that's not here. He started pulling me toward the exit. I stumbled along beside him, leaving a trail of garbage juice on the polished floor. People moved away as we passed, like I was contagious. Someone giggled. Someone else whispered something I couldn't quite hear, but knew was about me. The ballroom doors were 20 feet away, 15, 10. I could see my reflection in the glass, a pathetic middle-aged woman in a ruined dress, being escorted out of her own son's wedding like a drunk who'd caused a disturbance. This was it. This was the moment I'd remember forever. Not Ryan's first steps, or his graduation, or any of the good things. This. Being thrown out like garbage. The doors opened before we reached them. A woman stepped through, late 50s, maybe early 60s. Expensive suit, the kind you see in lawyer shows, perfectly tailored, deep charcoal grey. Her hair was silver, cut in a sharp bob. She moved like someone used to being obeyed, her heels clicking with authority on the ballroom floor. The entire room went quiet again, actually quiet this time. What, the woman said, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade, happened here? Vanessa's face went white, actually white. I'd never seen someone's expression change that fast. From triumphant to terrified in the space of a heartbeat. Mother, she whispered, you weren't supposed to come. Mother, this was Victoria Hale. Vanessa's mother, the woman my son's wife had told me was dead. Victoria's eyes swept the ballroom, taking in everything, me covered in garbage. Ryan's hand still on my elbow, Vanessa frozen in her wedding dress, the phone still out, people trying to subtly put them away now, like children caught doing something wrong. I asked a question. Victoria's gaze landed on her daughter. What happened here? Nothing, just a joke, a wedding prank. You know how it is. Vanessa's words tumbled out fast and high-pitched. Ryan's mom was totally fine with it. Weren't you, Evelyn? Every eye in the room turned to me. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. My entire body shook. No, I heard myself say. I wasn't fine with it. The silence that followed felt like the moment before lightning strikes. Show me. Victoria held out her hand. Someone give me their phone. I want to see what happened. Mom, seriously, this is my wedding. You can't just give me the phone. A groomsman near the back, I didn't know his name, practically threw his phone at Victoria like it was burning him. She caught it smoothly, pulled up the video with a few quick swipes, and pressed play. I couldn't see the screen, but I didn't need to. I could hear it, my own confused. Why would you? Vanessa's cruel laughter, Ryan's voice calling it hilarious, the crowd's roar of approval, Vanessa's announcement about taking out the trash, 30 seconds that destroyed 30 years. Victoria watched the entire thing without moving. When it finished, she handed the phone back and turned to her daughter. Unacceptable, she said quietly. It was just unacceptable. Louder now. Victoria moved to the center of the dance floor, her presence somehow bigger than her actual size. Everyone in this room just watched a bride humiliate her new mother-in-law for entertainment. You recorded it. You laughed. You participated. She looked around at the guests, and I saw several people literally step backward. This isn't a wedding. This is a spectacle of cruelty. Mrs. Hale, Ryan found his voice. I appreciate your concern, but this is between me and my mother. No. Victoria cut him off. This stopped being between you the moment you filmed it and let your wife broadcast it to 300 people. You stood there, Ryan Carter, and you watched your mother, the woman who raised you alone, get humiliated, and you smiled. Ryan's face went red. You don't understand. My mom, she's always been kind of overbearing. Vanessa was just trying to what? Establish dominance? Assert territory? Victoria's laugh had no humor in it. Let me tell you what your wife was trying to do, Ryan. She was testing you. She wanted to see if you'd choose your mother or her, and you passed her test. Congratulations. You chose the woman who treats human beings like garbage. That's not fair, Vanessa's voice cracked. You abandoned me. You haven't been my mother since I was 16. You don't get to show up at my wedding and judge me. You're right, I wasn't there. Victoria's expression didn't change. And that's my failure, Vanessa. I own it. But being abandoned doesn't give you the right to be cruel. And it certainly doesn't give you the right to destroy another mother's relationship with her son. She turned back to me. For the first time since she'd entered, her eyes softened. What's your name? Evelyn. Evelyn Carter. Evelyn, I'm Victoria. I'm sorry my daughter did this to you. She pulled off her jacket and held it out. Here, it's not much, but it's clean. I stared at the jacket. A stranger was offering me more kindness than my own son had in the past hour. Thank you, I whispered, taking it. The silk lining felt impossibly soft against my garbage-covered arms. Mom! Vanessa grabbed Victoria's arm. Stop it. You're ruining everything. This is my wedding. Your wedding ended the moment you decided to torture someone for fun. Victoria pulled her arm free. I'm ashamed of you, truly ashamed. I thought maybe you'd grown into someone better than I was, but you've become something worse. You don't know anything about me. I know you did this before. The words fell like stones. Your first marriage, you did the exact same thing to Jacob's mother. Isolated him from his family. Made him feel ashamed of where he came from. Convinced him his mother was the enemy. And when Jacob finally realized what you'd done, when he tried to rebuild those relationships, you left him, took half of everything he had, and moved on to your next target. The ballroom had gone so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. That's not... Vanessa's voice shook. You're lying. Jacob called me 3 months ago, wanted to warn Ryan. I didn't listen. Victoria looked at Ryan now. He told me his ex-wife had gotten engaged to a man she'd systematically cut off from his mother. He told me she had a pattern. I thought he was just bitter about the divorce. I'm sorry I didn't pay attention. Ryan looked like he'd been slapped. What are you talking about? Vanessa told me her first husband was abusive, that his family hated her because she tried to protect herself. She lied. Victoria's voice went gentle. Jacob was many things, but he wasn't abusive. I know because I helped pay for their couple's therapy. I saw the invoices. I read the therapist's notes. They were part of the divorce proceedings. The therapist said Vanessa exhibited signs of narcissistic personality traits and an extreme need for control. She wasn't fleeing abuse, Ryan. She was the abuse. No. Ryan shook his head. No, that's... Vanessa wouldn't... Wouldn't what? Manipulate you? Isolate you from your support system? Make you feel ashamed of your own mother? Victoria gestured at me, still standing there in garbage-soaked lavender. Look at her, Ryan. Really look. That's the woman who raised you, alone, and your wife just dumped trash on her while you filmed it. Does that seem normal to you? I watched my son's face, saw something crack behind his eyes, saw him look at me, really look at me, for the first time in what felt like years. Then Vanessa started crying. Not real crying. I'd seen her cry before, the few times I'd visited their apartment. This was performance crying, loud, dramatic sobs. Her hands covering her face, her shoulders shaking. How could you do this, mother? She wailed. On my wedding day, I invited you. I gave you another chance, and you come here and humiliate me in front of everyone. I humiliated you? Victoria's eyebrows rose. Sweetheart, you humiliated yourself the moment you poured garbage on someone who never did anything to you. She ruined everything. Vanessa's hands dropped. Her face was red now, ugly with rage. She's always there, always calling, always asking Ryan if he's eaten, if he's sleeping enough, if he needs anything. She treats him like he's still a child. She makes me feel like I'm not enough, like I'll never be enough, because precious Ryan's mommy is always, always there. The words hit me like physical blows. Was that true? Had I been overbearing? I'd only called Ryan twice a week, sent care packages on holidays, offered to help when they complained about money. That was just being a mother, wasn't it? Vanessa. Ryan's voice sounded strange, careful. Baby, that's not... Mom was just trying to help. I don't need her help. Vanessa spun toward him. We don't need her help. We're adults. We're married. But she can't let go. She can't accept that you're not hers anymore. I never thought he was... I started. Shut up, Vanessa screamed. Just shut up. This is all your fault. If you just backed off, if you just given us space, if you just accepted that Ryan chose me. He didn't choose you over me, I heard myself say. My voice sounded different, stronger. That's not how love works. He's my son. I'll always be his mother. Those things don't compete. Yes, they do. Vanessa was fully screaming now. They compete every single day. Every time he picks up your call instead of paying attention to me. Every time he sends you money we don't have because you guilt-tripped him. Every time he defends you when I try to set boundaries. Wait, every time he sends me money? Ryan? I turned to my son. What is she talking about? I haven't taken money from you since you graduated college. He wouldn't look at me. Ryan? My heart started pounding. What money? Tell her, Victoria said quietly. Tell your mother about the money. Ryan's jaw worked. His hands clenched and unclenched. Finally, Vanessa needed... We had some expenses, wedding costs, the apartment, her car payment, credit cards. It added up. How much? I asked. Ryan, don't... Vanessa started. How much? I said it louder. 80,000. Ryan's voice barely made it past his lips. Over 2 years, I took out loans, maxed out my credit cards, borrowed from my 401k. Vanessa said we needed it to maintain our lifestyle, to make sure we could have the life we deserved. The ballroom swam. $80,000. My son was $80,000 in debt, and I'd had no idea. But you told me everything was fine, I whispered. When I called, when I asked if you needed anything, you always said you were doing great. You said the promotion came through. You said, I lied. He finally looked at me. Vanessa said you'd judge us, that you'd make us feel bad for wanting nice things, that you'd try to control our choices if you knew we were struggling. So you isolated him, Victoria said to Vanessa, just like you did to Jacob. Made him lie to his mother, made him feel ashamed for needing help, made him push away the one person who would have helped without conditions. I didn't isolate anyone. Vanessa's voice hit a pitch that made my teeth hurt. I freed him from her, from the poverty mindset, from the constant guilt and obligation. Ryan deserves better than a mother who made him feel responsible for her sacrifices. My throat closed. Ryan, did I make you feel guilty for what I did for you? The silence that followed felt like falling. Sometimes, he finally said. Yeah, sometimes I felt like I could never be successful enough, like I owed you something I could never pay back. Like no matter what I achieved, I was still that kid you had to raise alone. His eyes met mine. Vanessa helped me see that wasn't fair, that you chose to have me, that I didn't ask to be born, that your sacrifices were your choice, not my debt. Every word landed like a hammer. My son, my boy, the child I'd loved more than my own life, and he thought I'd weaponize my love, turn my sacrifices into chains. Is that really how you feel? I asked. Ryan looked away. I don't know, maybe. Vanessa says, Vanessa says, Vanessa thinks, Vanessa wants. Victoria's voice cut through like a whip. Do you hear yourself, Ryan? You don't even know your own feelings anymore. She's told you what to think so many times you've forgotten how to think for yourself. That's not true. Then tell me why you're $80,000 in debt for a wedding that costs more than most people's houses. Tell me why you haven't spoken to your mother in weeks. Tell me why you just stood there and filmed while your wife committed assault, because yes, that's what this was, legally speaking, against the woman who raised you. Victoria took a step closer to Ryan. Tell me why you're not horrified by what just happened. Ryan opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. He doesn't have to justify himself to you. Vanessa grabbed Ryan's arm. Come on, baby, let's go. This is our wedding. We don't need these people ruining it. But Ryan didn't move. He stood there staring at me, at the garbage dripping off my dress, at his mother's face finally breaking after holding it together for so long. Ryan, I said softly, please just tell me, did you know she was going to do this? The question hung in the air between us. Everything, our entire relationship, 30 years of love and sacrifice and complicated history balanced on his answer. No, he finally said, I didn't know about the garbage, but I knew she wanted to embarrass you somehow, to put you in your place. She'd been talking about it for weeks, about how you needed to understand that you weren't the important parent anymore. I thought she meant like a toast or something, some kind of speech. His eyes filled with tears. I didn't think she'd actually. But you didn't stop her, I said, when it started happening. When you saw what she was doing, you could have stopped her and you didn't. I was in shock, Ryan's voice cracked. I couldn't process. You were filming, I said quietly. You pulled out your phone and filmed your mother being humiliated. That's not shock, Ryan, that's a choice. He flinched like I'd hit him. Mrs. Carter. Victoria moved closer to me. I know we just met. I know you have no reason to trust me, but I need to tell you something about my daughter that you need to hear. I waited. Vanessa is sick, Victoria said. Not physically, psychologically. She has something that makes her need to hurt people, especially people who represent what she never had. Loving mothers, stable families, unconditional relationships. She destroys those things because she can't stand to see other people have what she lost. When I left, Victoria's voice went thick. I take responsibility for that. I was a terrible mother, absent, selfish, neglectful, and Vanessa paid the price. But that doesn't mean she gets to make other people pay it too. Mom, stop, Vanessa said. Just stop. She'll destroy him, Victoria continued, looking at me but talking about Ryan. She'll drain every dollar, cut off every relationship, make him believe he's nothing without her. And when there's nothing left to take, she'll leave, just like she left Jacob, just like she'll leave whoever comes after Ryan. That's a lie, Vanessa screamed. I love Ryan. I love him more than anyone, more than his precious mommy ever did. You don't love him, Victoria finally looked at her daughter. You don't know how. I didn't teach you, and by the time I realized what I'd done, it was too late. You learn to survive by manipulating people, by finding their weaknesses and exploiting them. It's not your fault you became this way, but it is your fault if you don't stop. Vanessa went very still. When she spoke again, her voice was cold and controlled. Get out of my wedding. Vanessa, Ryan started. Both of you, get out. You're not wanted here. Vanessa's eyes locked on mine. And you, if you ever try to contact my husband again, I'll file a restraining order. I'll tell everyone you're mentally unstable, that you're a danger to yourself and others, that you've been stalking us. I'll destroy whatever pathetic little life you have left. The threat hung in the air like poison. You can try, I heard myself say, but I'm his mother. Nothing you do will change that. Vanessa smiled. It was the coldest thing I'd ever seen. Watch me, she said. Then she turned to Ryan, softened her voice, touched his face with perfectly manicured hands. Baby, she whispered, it's me or her, right now. Choose. I waited for Ryan to tell her that wasn't fair, that you can't make someone choose between their mother and their wife, that love doesn't work that way. Instead, he looked at me, and I saw the answer in his eyes before he spoke. I'm sorry, Mom, he said, but I have to put my wife first now. That's what marriage means. Something inside me broke, not loudly, not dramatically, just broke, like a bone cracking deep inside where no one can see it. Okay, I said, okay. I turned and walked toward the exit. Victoria called after me, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. If I stopped, if I let myself think about what just happened, I would fall apart right there on the ballroom floor. And I couldn't give them that. Couldn't give Vanessa the satisfaction of watching me completely shatter. The hallway outside the ballroom was empty. My heels clicked on marble. Somewhere behind me, I heard music start again, the party continuing. My son's wedding going on without me, like I'd never been there at all. I made it to my car before the tears came, sat in the driver's seat covered in garbage, shaking so hard I couldn't put the key in the ignition. 30 years. 30 years of loving him, raising him, sacrificing everything for him, and he chose her. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Victoria. I got your number from the guest list. Please don't drive like this. I'm coming to you. Don't leave yet. I stared at the message. A stranger, Vanessa's mother, the woman I'd been told was dead. She was coming to find me while my own son celebrated his wedding inside. I put my head on the steering wheel and finally let myself cry. I don't know how long I sat there before Victoria found me. Could have been 5 minutes, could have been an hour. Time felt broken, like someone had taken the clock of my life and smashed it against a wall. The passenger door opened. I didn't look up. Evelyn, Victoria's voice was gentler than it had been in the ballroom. I'm going to help you out of the car. We're going to my hotel. You can't drive like this. I'm fine, I said to the steering wheel. You're covered in garbage and shaking so hard you can barely hold your keys. You're not fine. She paused. And that's okay. You don't have to be fine right now. Something about those words, permission to not be fine, broke whatever was holding me together. I started sobbing, not crying, sobbing, the kind that comes from somewhere deep in your chest and hurts on the way out. Victoria didn't say anything. She just waited. When I finally ran out of tears, she helped me out of the car and into hers, a sleek black Mercedes that probably cost more than I made in 3 years. I left garbage stains on her leather seats. She didn't even flinch. The hotel was downtown, one of those places where the doorman wears white gloves and the lobby has fresh orchids everywhere. People stared as Victoria walked me through, but she stared back harder and they looked away. The elevator ride to the 15th floor happened in silence. Her suite was bigger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a kitchen, a living room with furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Showers through there. Victoria pointed to a door. I'll have the concierge bring up some clothes. What size are you? 12, sometimes 14. My voice sounded hollow. Depends on the brand. I'll have them bring options. She was already on the phone, speaking in that crisp, authoritative tone that made people jump. Take as long as you need. There are robes, towels, whatever you want. The bathroom was all white marble and gold fixtures. I caught sight of myself in the mirror and almost didn't recognize the woman staring back. Mascara streaked down my face. Hair matted with what looked like old coffee grounds. The lavender dress, my beautiful lavender dress, completely ruined. I peeled it off and threw it in the trash can. Stood there in my underwear looking at it for a long moment. 6 months of layaway payments. Gone. I'd been so proud of that dress, so excited to wear it to my son's wedding. The shower was one of those rainfall ones with water pressure that felt like a massage. I stood under it until the water ran clear, then stood under it longer because I didn't want to face what came next. Eventually, the hot water started running out. I dried off with a towel that probably cost more than my monthly grocery bill and wrapped myself in a robe so soft it felt like a hug. When I came out, Victoria had changed into casual clothes, expensive casual, the kind where a plain white t-shirt somehow cost $300, and was pouring tea into china cups. Sit, she said. Drink. Then we'll talk. I sat. The tea was some kind of fancy blend that tasted like flowers and honey. My hands shook holding the cup. The concierge is bringing clothes in 20 minutes, Victoria said. I ordered a variety. Casual, formal, everything in between. Keep whatever fits. Donate the rest if you want. You don't have to, I know I don't have to, I want to. She set her cup down. Evelyn, I need to tell you some things about my daughter. Things you deserve to know. But first I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. I waited. Over the past 2 years, since Ryan and Vanessa got together, have you noticed any changes in your son? In his behavior, his personality, the way he treats you? I started to say no. Then I actually thought about it. He stopped calling as much, I said slowly. At first I thought he was just busy, new relationship, you know. But then when I'd call him, he'd sound distant, distracted, like he was talking to me but thinking about something else. I took a shaky breath. And he started cancelling plans. My birthday dinner last year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, every time there was a reason. Work, Vanessa's family obligations, money problems. It was always something. What about money? Victoria asked. You said you didn't know about the debt, but did he ask you for money? No, never. That's why I was so shocked when he said, I stopped. Wait, actually. About 6 months ago, he called me really late, like midnight. He sounded upset. Started asking me about my savings, whether I had any investments, if I'd thought about retirement. It was weird, out of nowhere. What did you tell him? The truth, that I had about $30,000 in savings. My retirement account from work, that's it. I looked at Victoria. Why? What does that have to do with anything? Victoria's face went hard, because 3 weeks after that conversation, Vanessa told Ryan she wanted to expand the wedding budget. Told him they needed another $30,000 for the venue upgrade, the designer dress, the honeymoon in Bali. She pulled out her phone, scrolled through something, turned it toward me. My credit card statement, see that charge? That's Vanessa's wedding dress, $4,000. Know how much she told Ryan it cost. I looked at the screen, couldn't process what I was seeing. $15,000, Victoria said. She showed him a fake invoice. Told him the dress was a custom Vera Wang. It's not. It's a knockoff from a boutique in Queens. But Ryan believed her because why wouldn't he? She's his wife. He trusts her. Victoria's voice went bitter. She pocketed the difference. Told him they were barely breaking even on the wedding. Meanwhile, she's buying designer handbags and booking spa weekends with her friends. How do you know all this? Because Jacob, her first husband, warned me. After I didn't listen to him the first time, he sent me documentation, bank statements, credit card records, text messages between Vanessa and her friends bragging about how much money she was liberating from the mama's boy. Victoria set her phone down. That's what she calls your son, by the way, mama's boy. Except when she's talking to him directly, then she calls him baby. Sweetheart, my love. The tea in my stomach turned sour. She was planning to ask you for money, Victoria continued. That's why Ryan called you that night. Vanessa sent him to assess your assets, to see if you were worth cultivating or if you'd already outlived your usefulness. She leaned forward. When did you tell him you wouldn't lend them money? I didn't exactly, I thought back. I told him I couldn't help him financially, that my savings were for emergencies and retirement, that I'd already given him everything I could during college. The memory came flooding back. He got really quiet. Then he said Vanessa would be disappointed. I asked why she'd be disappointed about my retirement savings, and he said never mind, that he had to go. That's when she started planning tonight. Victoria's voice was flat. The humiliation, the garbage, all of it, because you had the audacity to have boundaries, to not hand over your life savings to fund her lifestyle. I felt sick, actually sick. You think she did this because I wouldn't give them money? I think she did this because you exist, because every time Ryan looks at you, he's reminded that love isn't transactional, that someone loved him before he had anything to offer, that sacrifice and devotion actually exist in the world. Victoria's eyes were fierce. Vanessa can't compete with that, so she has to destroy it. The room spun a little. I set my tea down before I dropped it. I don't understand. Why would someone do that? Why would anyone want to hurt people like this? Because she's hurt, Victoria's voice cracked. And hurt people who don't deal with their pain. They spread it. They find people who have what they never had and they tear it apart. She stood up, walked to the window, stared out at the city lights. I left Vanessa when she was 16, walked out on her and her father for another man, didn't call, didn't write, sent child support checks and thought that was enough. She turned back to me. It wasn't enough. She needed a mother, and I wasn't there. So she learned that love is conditional, that people leave, that relationships are transactions where the person with the most power wins. That's not your fault. Yes, it is. Victoria's voice cut like glass. I made a choice. I chose myself over my daughter. And she paid for it. She's still paying for it. She came back to the couch, sat down heavily. But here's the thing, Evelyn. My failure as a mother doesn't excuse what Vanessa's become. I can understand why she's broken. I can take responsibility for breaking her. But I can't let her keep breaking other people. Why are you telling me this? Because she's not done with you. Victoria looked me dead in the eyes. Tonight was just the beginning. She's going to work on Ryan. Slowly, carefully. She's going to rewrite every memory he has of you. Every sacrifice you made will become manipulation. Every act of love will become control. She'll paint you as the villain of his childhood until he believes it. Until he can't remember a single good thing about you without hearing her voice telling him it was actually toxic. Ryan wouldn't. Ryan already is. Victoria's words hit like a slap. You heard him in that ballroom. He said you made him feel guilty. That your sacrifices were your choice, not his debt. That's not his language, Evelyn. That's hers. She's been feeding him those lines for months, maybe years, and now he's saying them back like they're his own thoughts. I couldn't breathe. What do I do? Nothing. What? You do nothing, Victoria repeated. You don't call him. You don't text him. You don't reach out. You don't apologize. You don't explain. You do absolutely nothing. He's my son, and he made a choice tonight. Victoria's voice was kind but firm. He chose his wife over his mother, not in a healthy way, in a cruel one. He stood there and watched you get humiliated, and he filmed it. That's who he is right now, and you can't save him from that. You can't love him out of it. You can't sacrifice yourself enough to make him see what he's lost. She reached over and took my hand. The only thing you can do is protect yourself. Set boundaries. Build a life that doesn't revolve around waiting for him to wake up. But what if he never wakes up? Victoria's silence was answer enough. A knock at the door broke the moment. The concierge with the clothes. Victoria tipped him and brought in 3 large shopping bags. Inside were outfits I'd never be able to afford. Soft cashmere sweaters, tailored pants, dresses that didn't come from discount stores. She handed me a pair of dark jeans and a cream-colored sweater. Try these. If they fit, wear them home. Take the rest. Consider it an apology from one mother to another. Victoria, I can't. You can and you will. Her tone left no room for argument. My daughter ruined your dress. I'm replacing it. Multiple times over. End of discussion. I changed in the bathroom. Everything fit perfectly. When I came out, Victoria was on her laptop, frowning at the screen. What's wrong? I asked. The video is online. She turned the laptop toward me. Vanessa posted it. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, it's already got 50,000 views. My stomach dropped. There I was on the screen, frozen in the moment before the garbage hit. The caption read, "When your toxic meal finally gets what she deserves, #wedding drama, #boundaries matter, #no more toxic people." The comments were worse. "Yes, Queen, take out the trash. This is iconic, OMG." Finally, someone stands up to these controlling mothers. The way she just stands there, she knows she's been replaced. I scrolled through hundreds of them, thousands. People I'd never met calling me toxic, controlling, jealous, saying I deserved it, saying my son was better off without me, saying Vanessa was brave for setting boundaries. "Turn it off," Victoria said gently. "Don't read those." Yes. But I couldn't stop. Comment after comment, dragging me, mocking me, celebrating my humiliation. Someone had screenshotted my face at the moment the garbage hit, eyes wide, mouth open in shock, and turned it into a meme. When you realize your son's wife is the boss now. They don't know you, Victoria said. They don't know what really happened. They just see 30 seconds of video and think they understand the whole story. But what if they're right? The words came out broken. What if I was too involved, too overbearing? What if I did make Ryan feel guilty and I just couldn't see it? Stop. Victoria closed the laptop. Listen to me. You were a single mother who raised a child alone. You sacrificed, you worked, you showed up. That's not toxicity, that's love. And if your son can't tell the difference, that's not your failure, it's his. He's my son, I whispered. He's my only child. If I lose him, you've already lost him. Victoria's words were brutal but not unkind. The Ryan you knew, the one you raised, he's gone. Maybe temporarily, maybe permanently. But right now, in this moment, he's not your son anymore. He's Vanessa's husband, and until he decides to be both, you can't reach him. So I just give up. No, you let go. Victoria stood up, pulled out a business card, handed it to me. This is my therapist. She specializes in family trauma and narcissistic abuse. She helped me after I finally realized what I'd done to Vanessa. She can help you process this. I stared at the card. Dr. Michelle Torres, licensed clinical psychologist. I can't afford. I'm paying for it. First 6 months, weekly sessions, non-negotiable. Victoria held up a hand before I could protest. My daughter did this to you. The least I can do is help you heal from it. Why are you being so kind to me? You don't even know me. Victoria was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was thick with emotion. Because nobody was kind to Jacob's mother. When Vanessa destroyed that family, nobody stepped in, nobody warned her, nobody helped her put her life back together afterward. She died 8 months after the divorce. Heart attack. But Jacob thinks it was really a broken heart. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I can't save her, but maybe I can save you. The weight of that, the grief, the guilt, the desperate attempt at redemption hung in the air between us. Does Vanessa know about Jacob's mother? She knows, she doesn't care. Victoria wiped her eyes. At the funeral, Jacob confronted her, asked her if she was happy now, if destroying his family was worth it. You know what she said? I shook my head. She said, your mother was weak. She should have fought harder for you. Victoria's voice went flat. That's who my daughter is. That's what I created. A woman who sees love as weakness and destruction as strength. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry for me. Be sorry for Ryan. Victoria looked out the window again, because unless he wakes up, unless he sees what she really is, he's going to lose everything. His money, his relationships, his self-respect, and by the time he realizes it, it'll be too late. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "Hi, this is Morgan from the wedding. Just wanted to say that video is blowing up, girl. You're like famous now, LOL. Vanessa wanted me to tell you if you try to get it taken down, she'll post the longer version with audio where you can hear yourself whining. Just FYI, I showed Victoria. She read it and her jaw clenched. Well, block that number. Block anyone from the wedding who contacts you. Don't engage. Don't defend yourself. Don't acknowledge it exists." She took my phone, showed me how to make my social media profiles private. "You're going to get hate mail, threats, people calling you names. Ignore all of it. Eventually, the internet will move on to the next target." How long? A week, maybe 2. Depends on if something more interesting comes along. Victoria handed my phone back. "Can you take time off work just until this dies down?" I thought about my job at the dental office. My boss, Dr. Patterson, was understanding, but we were short-staffed. Taking time off would put pressure on everyone else. I don't know if... "Take the time," Victoria said firmly. "Trust me, you don't want to face patients right now. Not with this video circulating. Someone will recognize you. Someone will say something. You need space to process before you're in public." She was right. Of course she was right. But taking time off meant sitting alone with my thoughts, with what happened, with the reality that my son chose to humiliate me in front of hundreds of people for a woman who was using him. "I should go home," I said. My voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. "You're not driving tonight. You're staying here." Victoria's tone left no room for argument. "Guest bedroom is through there. Pajamas in the drawer. I'll have breakfast sent up in the morning. We'll talk more then." "Victoria, please," her voice cracked. "Let me do this. Let me help. I couldn't save Jacob's mother. I couldn't save my own daughter from herself. But maybe I can help you survive mine." I didn't have the strength to argue. The guest bedroom was beautiful. Soft grey walls, white linens, a view of the city that probably cost more per night than I made in a week. I put on the pajamas Victoria had mentioned, silk, impossibly soft, and lay down on the bed. My phone buzzed again, another text, then another. I turned it off without looking. Sleep didn't come. I stared at the ceiling, replaying the night over and over. The garbage hitting me, the laughter, Ryan's face, Vanessa's smile, that moment when my son chose her over me and I felt something fundamental break inside my chest. 30 years of loving him, and it ended with him filming me covered in trash while 300 people laughed. I must have dozed off eventually because I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the smell of coffee. When I shuffled out to the living room, Victoria was at the dining table with her laptop, still in her pajamas, hair pulled back in a messy bun. "Coffee?" She gestured to a carafe on the table. "There's also juice, pastries, fruit, eggs if you want them." I ordered the full breakfast spread. I poured coffee with shaking hands. "Did you sleep?" "Not much." Victoria closed her laptop. I was going through Vanessa's social media. The video has 2 million views now. It's on Twitter, Reddit, everywhere. Someone made it into a TikTok trend. My stomach lurched. What? People are recreating it, dumping trash on mothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, anyone they have drama with. They're calling it the Trash Out Challenge. Victoria's face was drawn. It's gone viral. I set my coffee down before I dropped it. 2 million views, a TikTok trend. My worst moment, my absolute worst moment, had become entertainment for the entire internet. I'm going to be sick. Bathrooms, I barely made it. Threw up what little was in my stomach. Sat on the cold tile floor afterward, shaking, while Victoria knocked softly on the door. "Evelyn, can I come in?" "Yeah." She opened the door, handed me a wet washcloth, sat down on the floor next to me. like it was the most natural thing in the world for two women in silk pajamas to sit on a bathroom floor together. "I know this feels like the end of the world," she said quietly. "But it's not. It's just the end of a chapter, a really awful chapter. 2 million people," I whispered. 2 million people watched me get humiliated. 2 million people watched a 30-second video without context. They don't know you. They don't know Ryan. They don't know the story. Victoria squeezed my hand. "And the ones who matter, the people who actually know you, they'll see through it. I don't have people who matter." The words came out hollow. "I had Ryan. He was my person, and now he's gone." "Then we'll find you new people." Victoria stood up, pulled me to my feet. "Come on, get dressed. We're going out." "Out, Victoria. I can't go out. I can't face. We're not going anywhere public. We're going to my lawyer's office." Her voice was steel. "Because if Vanessa thinks she can threaten you with restraining orders and defamation, we're going to make sure you have legal protection. And then we're going to discuss what options you have." Options? For defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, assault, because yes, dumping garbage on someone is assault. Victoria's eyes were fierce. Vanessa wanted to make this public. She wanted to humiliate you in front of millions. Fine, but that means she also documented her own crime. Something in my chest, something that had felt dead since last night, stirred. "You think I could sue her?" "I think you could destroy her." Victoria smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. "And I think it's time my daughter learned that actions have consequences." For the first time since the garbage hit, I felt something other than pain. It wasn't quite hope. It wasn't quite anger. It was something colder, sharper. It was the realization that maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to accept what happened. Didn't have to smile and take it and pretend my son hadn't just shattered my entire world for a woman who saw me as nothing more than an obstacle to remove. "What about Ryan?" I asked. "If I go after Vanessa legally, he'll what? Cut you off?" Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Evelyn, he already has. You have nothing left to lose, and that, believe it or not, is a gift." "How is that a gift?" "Because now," Victoria said, "you're finally free to put yourself first." Victoria's lawyer had an office in one of those glass towers downtown, where everything was chrome and leather and intimidation. Her name was Patricia Nguyen, and she looked like she ate corporate executives for breakfast. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. The kind of woman who made you sit up straighter just by walking into a room. "So," Patricia said, settling behind her desk after Victoria made introductions, "you were assaulted at a wedding. It was filmed and posted online without your consent, and it's now a viral trend with over 2 million views. Is that accurate?" Hearing it laid out like that, clinical, factual, made it sound even worse somehow. "Yes," I managed. Patricia pulled up the video on her computer, watched it once, twice. Her expression didn't change. "This is textbook assault and battery. The fact that it was premeditated, filmed, and posted publicly actually strengthens your case significantly." She made notes on a legal pad. "We could pursue criminal charges, though that would be up to the DA. More likely, we'd go civil. Intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation, invasion of privacy, assault, and battery. How much would something like that cost?" I asked. "Because I don't have—" "I'll cover it," Victoria said, "all of it." "Victoria, no, I can't let you— You're not letting me do anything. I'm choosing to do it." Victoria's voice was firm. "My daughter did this. I may not be able to undo 30 years of bad parenting, but I can at least make sure she faces consequences for this." Patricia looked between us. "Mrs. Hale, you understand that funding a lawsuit against your daughter could complicate your relationship with her further?" "My relationship with my daughter has been complicated since she was 16. This doesn't change that." Victoria leaned forward. "What I want to know is, can we win?" "Almost certainly yes. The evidence is irrefutable. It's on video, multiple angles, millions of witnesses." Patricia turned to me. "Mrs. Carter, I need to be honest with you. This will be messy. Vanessa will fight back. She'll try to paint you as an overbearing mother-in-law. She'll twist every interaction you've had with your son into evidence of your supposed toxicity. Your entire life will be examined. Are you prepared for that? Was I? I thought about Ryan, about what this would do to whatever microscopic chance remained that we might repair our relationship. Then I thought about 2 million people watching me get humiliated, about Vanessa threatening to destroy my life, about my son choosing to film it instead of stop it. Yes, I said, I'm prepared. Good. Patricia made more notes. I'll draft a cease and desist letter today. Demand that all videos be taken down immediately. Then we'll file suit within the week. I'm going to recommend we go aggressive, ask for substantial damages, make it hurt financially. Will that actually work? I asked. Making her take the videos down? Patricia's smile was thin. The letter will probably be ignored, but it establishes a paper trail, shows we made good faith efforts to resolve this privately before litigation. When we get to court, that matters. We spent another hour going over details. Patricia asked questions I didn't want to answer, about my relationship with Ryan, about interactions with Vanessa, about everything I'd ever said or done that could be twisted into evidence against me. By the end of it, I felt scraped raw. In the elevator down, Victoria squeezed my shoulder. You did well. I feel like I just signed up to have my entire life torn apart. You did. Victoria's honesty was almost refreshing, but it was already torn apart. This way, at least you're fighting back. My phone rang. I'd turned it back on in Patricia's office, and now I was paying for it. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Hello? Is this Evelyn Carter? A woman's voice. Professional. Cold. Yes? This is Amanda Price from Channel 7 News. We're doing a story on the viral wedding video and wanted to get your side of... I hung up. My hands were shaking. That's going to keep happening, Victoria said. News outlets, bloggers, podcasters, everyone wants a piece of viral content. Don't answer numbers you don't recognize. The phone rang again, different number, then again. By the time we reached the lobby, I'd gotten 6 calls. Turn it off, Victoria said, or better yet, change your number. Patricia can help with that. We stepped outside into harsh sunlight. I felt exposed, like everyone on the street was looking at me, recognizing me, judging me. A teenager walked past, staring at her phone, then did a double take in my direction. Started laughing. That's her, she called to her friend. That's the trash lady. I froze. The girl pulled out her phone, started recording me standing there on the sidewalk. Oh my God, this is so funny. She looks so pathetic in real life too. Delete that footage right now, Victoria said, stepping between us, or I'll have my lawyer file charges for harassment. It's a public street, lady. I can film whatever I want. But the girl lowered her phone, looking less confident now. You can film public spaces. You cannot film individuals without consent for the purpose of harassment. Want to test which one a judge thinks this is? Victoria pulled out her own phone. I'm recording you recording her. Should we see who has the better lawyer? The girl and her friend scurried away. Victoria turned to me. Come on, let's get you somewhere private. We ended up back at the hotel. I collapsed on the couch in Victoria's suite, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. This was my life now. Being recognized, being mocked, being filmed by strangers on the street. I can't do this, I said. I can't live like this. You won't have to forever. The internet's attention span is short. Victoria handed me water. But for now, you need to lay low. Stay off social media. Don't engage. Let Patricia handle the legal side while you focus on taking care of yourself. Taking care of myself. The words felt foreign in my mouth. I don't even know what that means. Neither did I, Victoria said quietly, after I left Vanessa, after I realized what I'd done. I didn't know how to be a person anymore, how to live with myself. She sat down across from me. That therapist I mentioned, Dr. Torres, she saved my life. I'm serious. I was 6 months away from swallowing a bottle of pills when I finally called her. The raw honesty in her voice shocked me. This put-together, powerful woman had been where I was, maybe worse. How did you... How did you get through it? Therapy, a lot of therapy and time, and learning that guilt is only useful if it leads to change. Victoria's eyes were distant. I couldn't undo what I'd done to Vanessa, but I could stop making excuses for her behavior, stop enabling her, stop pretending her cruelty was somehow my fault alone. But you said you took responsibility. Took for my actions, not hers. Victoria looked at me directly. I left her. That was my choice, my failure. But what she does now, the people she hurts, that's her choice. I gave her the wound, but she's the one who decided to weaponize it. My phone buzzed. I'd forgotten to turn it off. A text from Ryan. Mom, we need to talk. Call me. My heart jumped. Maybe he'd seen reason. Maybe he realized what Vanessa had done. Maybe... Don't. Victoria was reading over my shoulder. Not yet. You're too raw right now. You'll apologize. You'll make it easier for him. And he needs to sit with what he did. He's my son. And he humiliated you in front of millions. He chose his wife's cruelty over your dignity. Let him live with that choice for a while. Victoria's voice was gentle but firm. If you call him now, you teach him that he can treat you however he wants and you'll still come running. Is that the lesson you want him to learn? I stared at Ryan's message. My fingers itched to respond, to fix this, to make everything okay the way I'd always made everything okay. Instead, I turned my phone off. Good, Victoria said. Now let's talk about what you're going to do next. What do you mean? I mean with your life. You're not working for the next week at least. You can't go home, not safely, not with reporters probably camping out there. You need a plan. The word home hit me like a punch. My apartment, my life, everything I'd built after Ryan left for college, it all felt impossibly far away. I don't know, I admitted. I don't know what to do. Then let's start small. What did you used to do? Before Ryan? Before you spent 30 years putting yourself last? I had to think about it. Really think. What had I liked when I was 18, 19, before pregnancy and single motherhood consumed everything? I painted, I said slowly. Watercolors. I was going to go to art school before I got pregnant. Do you still paint? No, I sold all my supplies when Ryan was 2, needed the money for diapers. Victoria stood up, grabbed her purse. Come on. Where are we going? Art supply store, you're going to paint. Victoria, I can't just... Yes, you can. She pulled me to my feet. You're going to buy paints and brushes and paper. You're going to sit in this hotel room and you're going to paint whatever you want. No one to take care of, no one to sacrifice for. Just you and colors and whatever comes out. I don't remember how... Then you'll learn again. Victoria's smile was fierce. Consider it therapy. The art supply store was overwhelming. Aisles of paints, brushes, canvases, paper. Colors I'd forgotten existed. I stood there frozen until Victoria started pulling things off shelves. Watercolor sets, good brushes, thick paper, portable easels. I can't afford all this, I protested. Good thing I can. Victoria dumped everything at the register. Consider it an investment in your recovery. The clerk rang it all up. $300. My stomach clenched. That was groceries for a month. That was half my electric bill. That was... Breathe, Victoria said quietly. This isn't your money. You're not being irresponsible. You're accepting help. Accepting help. I'd spent 30 years giving it, never taking it. The concept felt alien. Back at the hotel, Victoria set everything up on the dining table. Paints, brushes, paper, a cup of water. Then she pointed to the chair. Sit, paint. I'm going to make some calls and give you space. I don't know what to paint. Then paint nothing. Paint garbage. Paint whatever's in your head. Just paint. She squeezed my shoulder and disappeared into the bedroom. I sat there staring at blank paper for 20 minutes. My hand shook when I finally picked up a brush, dipped it in water, touched it to paint. The color bloomed on the paper, blue, deep blue, the color of night or water or sadness. I painted without thinking. Just let the brush move. Colors mixed on paper, blues and grays and blacks, Shapes formed without intention, and slowly something appeared. A woman, drowning, covered in dark, heavy strokes that looked like garbage or mud or everything wrong in the world. But there at the edge, a tiny spot of light. White, clean, untouched. I painted for 2 hours. When I finally stopped, my back ached and my eyes burned, but something inside felt quieter, less screaming. Victoria came back, looked at what I'd done. Didn't say it was good or bad or anything, just, how do you feel? Tired, I admitted, but less like I'm drowning. Good, that's good. She checked her watch. Dr. Torres had a cancellation. She can see you in an hour if you want. That fast? I called in a favor. Victoria handed me the therapist's card again. You don't have to go, but I think you should. I looked at the painting. The drowning woman, the tiny spot of light. Okay, I said, I'll go. Dr. Torres' office was in a converted brownstone in a quiet neighborhood. Warm lighting, comfortable furniture, plants everywhere. She was younger than I expected, maybe late 40s, with kind eyes and an accent I couldn't quite place. Evelyn, she said, shaking my hand. Victoria told me a bit about what happened. I'm so sorry you're going through this. We sat down. She didn't have a notebook or a clipboard, just sat there, present, waiting. I don't know where to start, I said. Start anywhere, or don't start at all. We can just sit here if that's what you need. Something about that, the permission to not perform, not have answers, not be okay, broke something open in my chest. My son filmed me getting humiliated, and I don't know if I'll ever forgive him. The words rushed out. And I feel guilty for not forgiving him because he's my son, and I'm supposed to love him unconditionally. But maybe unconditional love is what got me here in the first place. Dr. Torres nodded. Tell me about unconditional love. What does that mean to you? It means you love someone no matter what they do. You're always there. You always forgive. You always put them first. And where do you fall in that equation? What? In this model of unconditional love, where do your needs, your boundaries, your dignity fall? I opened my mouth, closed it, couldn't answer. Evelyn, what happened to you at that wedding? That wasn't just humiliation, that was assault. Your son's wife committed a crime against you and he helped her do it by filming. And now you're sitting here feeling guilty for being angry about it. Dr. Torres leaned forward slightly. Can you see how backwards that is? But he's my son. And you're a human being with the right to be treated with basic respect. Her voice was gentle but firm. Unconditional love doesn't mean accepting abuse. It doesn't mean sacrificing your dignity. It doesn't mean letting people hurt you because you're afraid of losing them. Then what does it mean? It means you can love someone and still have boundaries. You can love someone and still say what you did was wrong and I won't accept it. You can love someone from a distance if that's what you need to stay safe. She paused. You can love someone and still choose yourself. Choose myself. I'd never done that, not once in 30 years. I don't know how, I whispered. That's okay. We'll figure it out together. Dr. Torres smiled. But first, I need you to understand something. You are not responsible for fixing your son. You are not responsible for his choices. You are not responsible for his wife's behavior. The only person you're responsible for is you. That feels selfish. It feels selfish because you've been taught that taking care of yourself is selfish. But it's not. It's necessary. She handed me a tissue. I hadn't realized I was crying. Here's what I want you to think about. If a friend came to you and said their child had treated them the way Ryan treated you, what would you tell them? I thought about it, really thought. I'd tell them they didn't deserve that, I said slowly. That what happened was wrong, that they have every right to be angry. So why don't you deserve the same compassion you'd give a friend? The question hung in the air. I didn't have an answer. We talked for the full hour. About boundaries, about self-worth, about the difference between loving someone and letting them destroy you. When I left, I felt raw, but somehow lighter, like maybe, just maybe, I could survive this. Victoria was waiting in the car. How did it go? Hard, good, I don't know. I buckled my seatbelt. She wants to see me twice a week. Can you do that? I thought about my job, my schedule, all the reasons I'd normally say no. Then I thought about that painting. The drowning woman. The tiny spot of light. Yes, I said. I can do that. Back at the hotel, my phone, which I turned back on despite better judgment, had 17 missed calls. 3 from Ryan, 8 from numbers I didn't recognize, 6 from my boss at the dental office. Evelyn, Dr. Patterson's voice on the voicemail was careful, concerned. I saw the video. Several patients saw the video. I think it might be best if you took some time off. Paid leave, as much as you need. Call me when you're ready to talk. Paid leave. That was code for we don't want you scaring the patients. They're pushing me out, I said, showing Victoria the phone. They're giving you time to heal. There's a difference. But Victoria's expression suggested she knew exactly what was happening. Besides, gives you more time to paint, to see Dr. Torres, to focus on you. I can't afford to not work. You can afford it for a few weeks, and if you can't, I'll help. Victoria held up a hand before I could protest. Before you argue, remember, my daughter did this. These are consequences of her actions. I'm not rescuing you. I'm helping you survive an assault she committed. Put that way, it was harder to argue. That night I painted again. This time, not a drowning woman, but something different. A door, half open, light streaming through. I didn't know what was on the other side, couldn't see it, but the light was there, bright and warm and real. 3 days passed, then a week. I stayed in Victoria's hotel suite because going home felt impossible. Because reporters had found my apartment and were apparently camping out there, according to my neighbor who texted me pictures of news vans. Because every time I thought about my empty apartment, where Ryan used to visit, where his baby pictures still hung on the walls, something in my chest squeezed so tight I couldn't breathe. Patricia called on day 8. The cease and desist was ignored as expected, but I have good news. The video's been taken down from TikTok and Instagram. Terms of service violation. Facebook's still hosting it, but we're working on that. What about the copies? People downloaded it. Those we can't control, but we can make it harder to find. And we're filing suit tomorrow. Full damages, pain and suffering, punitive charges. I'm asking for 2 million. 2 million. The same number of people who'd watched me get destroyed. Will we get it? Probably not the full amount, but we'll get something. And more importantly, we'll get Vanessa on record admitting what she did. That's the real goal here, establishing legal precedent that this behavior has consequences. After Patricia hung up, I walked to the window, looked out at the city. All those people living their lives, not knowing mine had imploded, not knowing that somewhere out there, my son was living with a woman who'd assaulted me and he'd chosen her anyway. My phone buzzed. Ryan again. The 5th call that week. I'd ignored all of them. This time I answered. Mom, his voice cracked. Mom, finally, I've been trying to reach you. I know. Silence. Like he'd expected me to fill it immediately, to make it easy for him. Mom, we need to talk about what happened. Vanessa's really upset. Vanessa's upset. The words came out flat, dead. Yeah, she didn't mean for it to go this far. The video going viral, all the attention. She's getting death threats now, Mom. People calling her names. She's scared. She's scared. Yes, can you please stop repeating everything I say and actually talk to me? Ryan's frustration bled through. Look, I know things got out of hand at the wedding. I know it looked bad, but you have to understand, Vanessa was under a lot of stress. Ryan, I cut him off. Your wife committed assault. She filmed it. She posted it online, and you helped her do it. Do you understand that? It was a prank, Mom. A bad one, yeah, but not assault. Yes, assault. I have a lawyer now. We're suing Vanessa for $2 million. The silence that followed was so complete I thought the call had dropped. What? Ryan finally said. You're suing Vanessa? Yes. Mom, that's insane. You can't do that. She's family now. She's my wife. She assaulted me at your wedding. While you filmed it, my voice stayed calm. Dr. Torres had taught me that. Stay calm, state facts. Don't get emotional. I'm begging you not to do this. Ryan's voice went high, desperate. Do you know what this will do to us? To me? We're already drowning in debt. If you sue us, if you take more money, I'm not taking money from you, Ryan. I'm holding Vanessa accountable for what she did. It's the same thing. We're married. What hurts her hurts me. He was practically yelling now. How can you do this? How can you try to destroy my marriage? I'm not destroying your marriage. Your wife destroyed our relationship when she dumped garbage on me and you chose to film it instead of stop it. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. Why can't you just forgive me? And there it was, the real question, the one underneath all of this. Because you haven't apologized, I heard myself say. Not really. You keep explaining, justifying, telling me why it wasn't that bad. But you haven't once said, Mom, I'm sorry. What I did was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. More silence. I was going to apologize, Ryan said finally. That's why I've been calling, to apologize and ask you to drop this lawsuit. So you're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry I'm taking action. That's not. You're twisting my words. Ryan, do you even remember what happened that night? Do you remember standing there with your phone out, filming me covered in garbage while 300 people laughed? Of course I remember. Do you remember what I looked like? What my face looked like? He didn't answer. I was your mother for 30 years. I gave up everything for you. And when your wife decided to humiliate me at your wedding, you chose to record it instead of protect me. That's what I remember. That's what 2 million people watched. My voice finally cracked. So no, Ryan, I'm not dropping the lawsuit, and I'm not forgiving you until you actually understand what you did. Fine. His voice went cold, sharp. Fine, sue us. Take whatever money we don't have. Destroy everything. But don't expect me to come crawling back when you finally realize you're wrong. I won't, I said quietly. He hung up. I stood there holding the phone, shaking. Victoria came out of the bedroom where she'd been giving me privacy. You did good, she said. Did I? It feels like I just lost my son forever. You lost him the night he filmed you getting assaulted. This conversation just made it official. Victoria guided me to the couch. But here's what you need to remember. He can come back when he's ready, when he wakes up. The door's not locked from your side. What if he never wakes up? Then you'll survive anyway. Victoria squeezed my hand. Because you're already doing it. That night, I painted a third piece, a woman walking away from a house on fire. She wasn't running, wasn't looking back, just walking. And in her hand, something small, a tiny flame, her own light, protected, safe. I was learning what Dr. Torres meant about choosing myself. It hurt, but maybe hurt was part of healing. Maybe you couldn't survive betrayal without first sitting with how much it destroyed you. 2 weeks after the wedding, Patricia called with news. Vanessa's lawyer contacted me. They want to settle. My heart jumped. Settle for how much? $500,000. I sat down hard. $500,000. That was more money than I'd seen in my entire life. What do I do? That's up to you. We could take it, or we could push forward to trial. But trials are messy, long. Vanessa will fight dirty. Are you ready for that? I thought about Ryan, about what a trial would do to whatever microscopic hope remained for our relationship. Then I thought about 2 million people watching me drown in garbage while my son laughed. No, I said, I want the trial. Patricia's voice went quiet on the other end of the line. Are you sure? Because once we reject the settlement, we're committed. Vanessa's team will come after you hard. I'm sure. And the strange thing was, I meant it. For the first time in weeks, maybe years, I was completely sure of something. All right then, I'll draft the rejection today. Discovery starts next week. That means depositions, document requests, interrogatories. It's going to get ugly, Evelyn. They'll dig into every aspect of your life. Let them. I hung up and stared at the painting I'd been working on. A phoenix this time, rising from ashes. Dr. Torres had said I was channeling my pain into something visible, making the invisible visible, she called it. Victoria came in carrying groceries. She'd extended her hotel stay indefinitely, claimed she had business in the city, but I knew the truth. She was staying for me. You told Patricia no, It wasn't a question. How did you? I know that look. That's the look of someone who just chose themselves for the first time in their life. Victoria started unpacking food. How does it feel? Terrifying. Good. Growth usually is. The lawsuit moved forward. Patricia filed officially 3 days later. By that evening, my phone exploded with messages. Ryan called 8 times in an hour. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I turned my phone off and painted until my hands cramped. But I couldn't avoid him forever. A week after the filing, someone knocked on Victoria's hotel room door. We looked at each other. Are you expecting anyone? I asked. Victoria shook her head and checked the peephole. Her face went pale. It's Ryan. My stomach dropped. How did he find? Probably followed me from the law office or hired someone. Victoria looked at me. What do you want to do? I can send him away. No. I stood up. I'll talk to him. Are you sure? No, but I think I have to. Victoria opened the door. Ryan stood there looking like he hadn't slept in days. His suit was wrinkled, hair uncombed, dark circles under his eyes. He looked past Victoria straight to me. Mom, please, we need to talk. You have 5 minutes, Victoria said, stepping aside, and I'm staying in the room. Ryan came in, glancing around at the expensive suite, at my paintings covering the dining table, at the life I'd been building without him. You're living here, his voice was strained, with Vanessa's mother? Where I live is none of your business anymore, Ryan. He flinched. Don't say that. You're my mother. Of course it's my business. Is it? Because I seem to remember you telling me I wasn't important, that I needed to understand my place. The words came out colder than I intended. Dr. Torres had been teaching me to speak from facts, not emotion. It was working. What do you want? I want you to drop the lawsuit. Ryan's voice cracked. Please, Mom, you're going to destroy us. We can't afford this. Vanessa's having panic attacks. She can't sleep. She's scared of losing everything. Good, I said quietly. She should be scared. She assaulted me, filmed it, posted it for millions to see. There are consequences for that. But why? Ryan's voice went high, desperate. Why are you doing this? Is it revenge? Are you trying to punish me for choosing Vanessa? This isn't about you, Ryan. This is about me, about my dignity, about sending a message that you can't treat people like garbage, literally, and get away with it. I met his eyes. I spent 30 years putting you first, sacrificing everything, and you repaid that by filming me getting humiliated. So yes, I'm done protecting you from consequences. I didn't know it would go viral. I didn't know. You knew enough to film it. You knew enough to laugh. You knew enough to call it hilarious. Each word came out sharp and clean. What exactly didn't you know, Ryan? He opened his mouth, closed it, his hands clenched and unclenched at his sides. Vanessa said you'd do this. She said you'd use this to manipulate me, to try to control me by making me feel guilty. His voice was shaking now. She said you never really loved me. You just wanted someone to need you. The words hit like a physical blow. I felt Victoria step closer, a silent support. Is that what you believe? I asked. That I spent 30 years raising you alone because I wanted to control you. I don't know what I believe anymore, Ryan shouted. Everything's so messed up. I've got debt collectors calling me every day. My job is threatening to fire me because this video makes them look bad. Vanessa's threatening to leave if I don't fix this. And you're suing us for money we don't have while living in some luxury hotel like none of this affects you. None of this affects me. My voice stayed level. Ryan, 2 million people watch me get humiliated. Strangers recognize me on the street. I had to take leave from my job. I can't go home because reporters are camped outside my apartment. My entire life imploded because your wife decided I was an obstacle to remove and you helped her do it. I took a breath. So don't tell me this doesn't affect me. Then drop the lawsuit. He was crying now, actually crying. Please, Mom, I'm begging you. We'll apologize properly. We'll make a video, post it everywhere, say we were wrong. Vanessa will apologize to your face. Just please, please don't take us to court. Would she mean it? I asked. This apology, would Vanessa actually be sorry, or would she just be sorry she got caught? Ryan didn't answer fast enough. The silence told me everything. That's what I thought. I walked to the window, looked out at the city. You want me to forgive you because it's convenient, because you're scared of losing money, not because you actually understand what you did wrong. I do understand. No, you don't. I turned back to him. If you understood, you wouldn't be here demanding I drop the lawsuit. You'd be here taking responsibility. You'd be here saying, Mom, I failed you. I stood there and watched my wife assault you, and I filmed it because I was too weak to stand up to her. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be better. My voice cracked. But you're not saying that. You're just asking me to make this convenient for you. Because I'm drowning. Ryan's voice broke completely. I'm 30 years old and I'm $80,000 in debt with a wife who... He stopped, covered his face with his hands. Who what? Victoria asked quietly. Finish that sentence, Ryan. Who scares me sometimes, he whispered. Who makes me feel like I'm never good enough. Like I'm always doing something wrong. Like if I don't do exactly what she wants, she'll leave and I'll be alone and it'll be my fault. The room went silent. I watched my son fall apart in front of me and felt something crack in my chest. Not breaking, not anymore, just opening, making room for a truth I'd been avoiding. He was a victim too, not the same kind I was, not innocent in this, but still trapped in something he didn't know how to escape. Ryan, I said gently, does Vanessa hurt you? Not physically, she had never... He stopped, thought about it. She throws things sometimes, when she's angry. Broke my laptop once. Said it was an accident, but I saw her face right before she did it. His voice was small. And she says things about how I'd be nothing without her, how lucky I am she married me despite my embarrassing background, how my mother ruined me with her poverty mindset. That's abuse, Victoria said flatly. Emotional abuse, financial abuse. What you're describing is an abusive relationship. No, Vanessa loves me. She tells me all the time. Ryan, love doesn't terrorize you. Love doesn't make you afraid. Love doesn't drain your bank account and then blame you for being stressed about it. Victoria moved closer. I know this is hard to hear. I know you want to believe your marriage is worth saving. But what you're describing isn't a marriage. It's a hostage situation. Ryan shook his head frantically. You don't understand. Vanessa had a hard childhood. Her mother abandoned her. He looked at Victoria. No offense. She learned not to trust people. She has walls up. But underneath, she's scared and hurt and she needs professional help, I cut in. Not a husband to abuse. Ryan, I'm sorry she was hurt. I'm sorry Victoria left her. But that doesn't give her permission to hurt you or me or anyone else. But if I leave her, I'll be just like her mother. I'll be abandoning someone who needs me. No, Victoria said sharply. If you leave her, you'll be protecting yourself from someone who's actively harming you. There's a difference. I abandoned Vanessa when she needed me. You'd be leaving Vanessa because she's using you as a punching bag. Ryan sank onto the couch, head in his hands. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. You can't fix her, I said quietly. You can only decide if you're willing to keep being destroyed by her. But I love her. I know, and that's the hardest part. I sat down next to him, not touching, just close. Love should make you better, Ryan. It should make you feel safe and supported and strong. Does Vanessa make you feel those things? He didn't answer. Didn't need to. The answer was written all over his face. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then Ryan said, if I leave her, she'll destroy me. She's already threatened it. Said she has evidence I'm financially abusive. That I've been controlling her money, that she can make everyone believe I'm the bad guy. She's got nothing, Victoria said. I know her playbook. She makes threats to keep you scared. But if you actually left, if you actually stood up to her, she'd fold. Bullies always do. You don't know that. I do, because I've seen her do this before, to Jacob. She made the same threats. And when he finally left, she moved on to her next target, which happened to be your son. Victoria's voice was hard. She's not invincible, Ryan. She's just counting on you being too scared to test her. Ryan looked at me with something desperate in his eyes. Mom, if I leave her, if I do this, will you drop the lawsuit? And there it was, the bargaining, the negotiation. Even now, even falling apart, he was trying to make a deal. No, I said. His face crumpled. Why not? If I leave her, if I admit she was wrong, why would you still, Because the lawsuit isn't about Vanessa anymore. It's about me. I took a shaky breath. For 30 years, I taught you that love means sacrifice, that putting others first is always right, that your needs don't matter as much as everyone else's. I taught you to be a victim, Ryan, and I'm done teaching that lesson. I don't understand. I need to hold boundaries. I need to show myself that I matter, that what happened to me was wrong and I deserve justice. Tears were running down my face now. Even if that means losing you permanently, even if that means you hate me, I have to do this for me. Ryan stared at me like he'd never seen me before. Maybe he hadn't. Maybe this version of me, the one who chose herself, was completely foreign to him. I don't hate you, he whispered. I'm angry and confused and scared, but I don't hate you. That's a start. He stood up, wiping his face with his sleeve. I need to think about everything, about Vanessa, about what I want my life to look like. Take your time. The door's not locked from my side. Ryan walked to the door, then stopped. Mom, at the wedding, when the garbage hit you, I saw your face, and for just a second before I pulled out my phone, I thought, this is wrong. I should stop this. But then Vanessa looked at me and I couldn't. I know. How do you know? Because I've spent 30 years not being able to say no to you. I understand how hard it is to disappoint someone you love. I stood up. But Ryan, that's not love, that's fear. And you can't build a life on fear. He left. The door closed behind him and I collapsed back onto the couch, shaking. You did good, Victoria said softly. That was really hard and you did good. Did I? I just watched my son admit he's in an abusive relationship and I told him I'm still suing his wife. You set a boundary. You showed him that actions have consequences. That's not cruelty, that's teaching. Victoria sat next to me. And you gave him something to think about. Seeds take time to grow. What if they never grow? What if he stays with her and I lose him forever? Then you'll survive, because you're already surviving. 3 days later, Patricia called with an update. Vanessa's team is in full attack mode. They've subpoenaed your phone records, bank statements, medical records, everything. They're also interviewing Ryan's friends from childhood, building a case that you were overbearing and manipulative. Let them, I said. I've got nothing to hide. They're also going after your mental health. Vanessa's claiming you're unstable, that this lawsuit is proof of your obsessive need to control Ryan's life. That one stung. Can she do that? She can claim it, whether a judge believes it is another story, especially since we have video evidence of her literally dumping garbage on you. Patricia paused. There's something else. Ryan filed for separation yesterday. My heart stopped. What? Separation. Not divorce yet, but he filed paperwork to legally separate from Vanessa, moved out of their apartment. He's staying with a friend, according to the filing. I couldn't breathe. Ryan left her. My son finally left her. Does this change the lawsuit? I asked. No, Vanessa's still liable for her actions. If anything, Ryan separating from her strengthens our case, shows he recognizes what she did was wrong. Patricia's voice was careful. Has he contacted you? No, he might not. Leaving an abusive relationship is messy. He probably needs space from everyone while he figures things out. After Patricia hung up, I told Victoria. She didn't look surprised. I knew he'd do it eventually, just didn't know if it would be today or 5 years from now. Do you think he's okay? Probably not, but not okay is better than actively being destroyed. Victoria poured tea, handed me a cup. Now comes the hard part, waiting to see if he actually stays gone or if Vanessa convinces him to come back. You think she'll try? I know she'll try. She always does. Jacob left her 4 times before it finally stuck. Victoria's voice was grim. She'll cry. She'll apologize. She'll promise to change, she'll threaten, she'll manipulate, she'll do whatever it takes to get him back because she can't stand losing. What do? Nothing. You stay firm, you keep your boundaries, you let Ryan make his own choices. Victoria met my eyes, and you keep choosing yourself. Choosing myself. It was getting easier. Not easy, but easier. That night I painted a new piece, 2 figures standing apart, a thread between them, thin, fraying, but still there. Not pulling, not breaking, just existing. Connection without consumption. The weeks crawled by. Discovery phase was brutal. Patricia wasn't kidding about them digging into everything. They subpoenaed 20 years of phone records, questioned my old neighbors, interviewed Ryan's elementary school teachers. They were building a narrative that I'd been obsessed with Ryan his entire life, unable to let him grow up, using guilt and manipulation to keep him dependent. Some of it hurt because it had tiny seeds of truth. I had called a lot. I had worried constantly. I had probably held on too tight sometimes. But the difference between being an imperfect parent and being abusive, that line was clear to me, even if Vanessa's lawyers tried to blur it. Dr. Torres helped me process it all. Twice a week, I sat in her office and unpacked 30 years of complicated love. You did your best with what you knew, she told me. And yes, maybe sometimes you held on too tight. But you know what you didn't do? You didn't assault anyone. You didn't manipulate your son into debt. You didn't film someone's humiliation for entertainment. Those things aren't in the same universe. Then why do I feel guilty? Because you've been trained to feel guilty by society, by motherhood, by 30 years of putting everyone else first. Dr. Torres leaned forward. Guilt is only useful if it leads to growth. Are you growing? I thought about my paintings, about living with Victoria, about setting boundaries with Ryan, about choosing the lawsuit over convenience. Yes, I said, I think I am. 2 months after the wedding, I finally went home. The reporters had moved on to fresher scandals. My apartment looked exactly as I'd left it, frozen in time, a museum to the person I used to be. I started packing up Ryan's childhood things, not throwing them away, just putting them in boxes, making space for something new. As I wrapped his baby blanket in tissue paper, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mom, Ryan's voice was rough, tired. It's me. Hi. Silence. Like he'd expected more, like he'd expected me to fill the space with questions and worry and all the things I used to do. I'm calling because... He stopped. Started again. I'm calling because I owe you an apology, a real one. Not one where I'm asking for something or trying to get you to drop the lawsuit. Just an apology. I sat down on the floor surrounded by boxes, waited. What Vanessa did to you was wrong. What I did was wrong. I stood there and filmed my own mother getting assaulted because I was too scared of my wife to stand up for you. His voice cracked. And then I spent weeks blaming you, making excuses, trying to convince myself you deserved it somehow, because that was easier than admitting I failed you. Tears were running down my face, but I stayed quiet. I left Vanessa. I don't know if you heard, I'm staying with my friend Mark, sleeping on his couch. It's humiliating, but it's better than... He took a shaky breath. I'm seeing a therapist. He's helping me understand how messed up everything got, how I let someone convince me my own mother was the enemy. Ryan, please let me finish. I need to say this. He cleared his throat. You weren't perfect. You did hold on kind of tight sometimes, but you loved me. You sacrificed for me. You were there for me. And I repaid that by choosing someone who hurt you, by letting her turn me into someone who could laugh at your pain. His voice broke completely. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I sobbed into the phone. All the pain, all the grief, all the loss pouring out. I don't expect you to forgive me, Ryan continued. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know that I see it now. I see what I did, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be better. Thank you, I managed. Thank you for saying that. Are you still going through with the lawsuit? There it was, the test. Even now, even after the apology, he needed to know. Yes, I said, I am. Silence. Then, okay, I understand. You need to do what's right for you. Those words, from my son, acknowledging my needs, my right to choose myself. How are you doing? I asked. Really? Honestly, I'm a mess. I'm broke. My credit's destroyed. I'm sleeping on a couch at 30 years old. Vanessa's been calling and texting non-stop, threatening me, begging me, promising to change. He laughed bitterly. But you know what? For the first time in 2 years, I can breathe. I'm not walking on eggshells. I'm not waiting for the next explosion. I'm just breathing. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, he paused. I know you're probably busy. I just wanted to call to apologize. I'll let you go. Ryan, my voice stopped him. I'm proud of you for leaving, for getting help, for apologizing. I'm really proud of you. He started crying then. I could hear it through the phone. I miss you, Mom. I miss you too, baby. So much. We talked for another hour. Not about the lawsuit, not about Vanessa, just talking. About his therapy, about my painting, about small, safe things. When we finally hung up, I sat there on the floor, surrounded by boxes, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. Not that everything would be fixed immediately, not that Ryan would magically heal from 2 years of abuse, not that our relationship would snap back to what it was, but hope that maybe eventually we could build something new, something healthier, something with boundaries and respect and real love instead of obligation. The trial date was set for 3 months out. Patricia was confident we'd win. Vanessa's case was falling apart. Ryan's separation gave us ammunition, and the video spoke for itself. She might settle again, Patricia warned. Probably will, actually. Now that Ryan's gone, she doesn't have his income to fight with. She'll want to minimize damages. I'll take whatever the judge awards, I said. I'm not settling. I want this on record. Victoria threw me a small celebration that night. Just the two of us, Chinese takeout, cheap wine from the hotel minibar. You've come a long way, she said, raising her glass. From the woman covered in garbage to the woman suing the person who did it. That takes spine. I learned from watching you. You learned from surviving. Victoria clinked her glass against mine. Here's two women who choose themselves, even when it's hard, even when it costs them, even when everyone says they're wrong for doing it. We drank, and for the first time since the wedding, I felt something other than pain or anger or fear. I felt free. The freedom didn't last long. 2 days after that conversation with Ryan, Vanessa showed up at my apartment. I'd just gotten home from Dr. Torres' office when I heard pounding on my door. Aggressive, desperate, the kind of knocking that makes your stomach drop. Evelyn, I know you're in there. Open this door. Vanessa's voice. I looked through the peephole and there she was, the woman who destroyed me at her own wedding. She looked different. Hair unwashed, no makeup, sweatpants and a stained t-shirt. Nothing like the perfect bride from 3 months ago. Go away, Vanessa. I have nothing to say to you. You took him from me. She was screaming now. You couldn't stand that he chose me, so you poisoned him against me. You're a manipulative, pathetic old woman who can't let go. I pulled out my phone, started recording. Patricia had told me to document everything. I'm calling the police if you don't leave. You're harassing me. Harassing you. You're suing me for $2 million and I'm harassing you? Her laugh was unhinged. You've destroyed my life. Ryan left me. My friends won't talk to me. I lost my job because of that video. Everything's falling apart and it's all your fault. You did this to yourself, I said through the door. You assaulted me. You filmed it. You posted it. Those were your choices. I was joking. It was supposed to be funny. How was I supposed to know you'd sue me? She was crying now. Please, please just drop the lawsuit. I'll apologize. I'll do whatever you want. I'll stay away from Ryan forever. Just please don't take everything I have. Part of me, the old me, the people-pleasing mother who couldn't stand to see anyone in pain, wanted to open that door, wanted to comfort her, wanted to fix it. But I'd learned something in the past 3 months. Compassion doesn't mean letting people destroy you. Forgiveness doesn't mean erasing consequences. No, I said, I'm not dropping the lawsuit, and if you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police and adding this to our evidence of harassment. You're ruining my life. You ruined mine first. My voice stayed calm. Goodbye, Vanessa. I called the police. They came, took a report, told Vanessa to leave. She went, but not before screaming that I'd regret this, that she'd make me pay, that I was a vindictive witch who deserved to die alone. After they left, I sat on my couch shaking. Called Victoria. She came to my apartment, threatened me. The police have it on record now. Victoria's voice went cold. Good, that helps our case. Shows a pattern of threatening behavior. Patricia will love this. I don't feel good about it. I feel sick. That's because you have empathy. That's because you're not her. Victoria's voice softened. Evelyn, she made her choices. She could have apologized sincerely months ago. She could have taken responsibility. Instead, she doubled down. This is on her. I know, I keep thinking about what you said, about how she's hurt because you left her, about how she's broken. She is broken, and that's tragic, but broken people who refuse to get help, they don't get to break everyone around them. At some point, the explanation stops mattering, and only the behavior counts. Victoria paused. I've spent years feeling guilty about Vanessa, making excuses for her, trying to fix what I broke. But you know what I finally learned? I can't fix her. Only she can do that. And until she chooses to, I have to protect other people from her. After we hung up, I painted again, this time a woman behind a door, strong, clear-eyed, choosing to stay separate, choosing safety over guilt. The trial date approached. Patricia prepared me for what was coming. Vanessa's lawyers would attack my character, paint me as obsessive and controlling, try to make the jury sympathize with a young bride defending herself from an overbearing mother-in-law. Let them, Patricia said, because we have something they don't. We have video evidence, we have Ryan's separation filing, we have Vanessa's harassment charge, and we have you, a woman who worked double shifts to raise her son alone and got assaulted for it. Juries understand that story. The week before trial, Ryan called again. Mom, I need to tell you something. Vanessa's lawyer contacted me. They want me to testify for her, to say you were controlling when I was growing up. That the garbage thing was justified as a way to set boundaries. My stomach dropped. What did you tell them? I told them to go to hell. His voice was firm. I'm not helping her. I'm actually going to testify for you if Patricia wants me to. Ryan, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I need to stand up and say what really happened. That I let Vanessa manipulate me into thinking you were the problem, when really she was isolating me, draining me, destroying me. He took a breath. I need to do this, Mom, not for you, for me, because I need to stop being the guy who stood there and filmed while someone hurt his mother. Are you sure? Because testifying means Vanessa's lawyers will come after you. They'll drag up everything. Let them. I've got nothing left to hide. I'm broke. My credit's shot. I'm starting over from zero. Might as well start by telling the truth. Pride swelled in my chest. Okay, I'll tell Patricia you're willing to testify. Mom? His voice got quiet. After this is over, after the trial, do you think we could we maybe try to rebuild, not jump back into how things were, but start fresh, figure out what a healthy relationship between us looks like? Tears ran down my face. I'd like that. It'll take time, probably years. My therapist says I've got a lot to work through about boundaries and self-worth and how I let Vanessa treat me. He laughed bitterly. Turns out, being raised by a single mother who sacrificed everything didn't prepare me to recognize when someone was exploiting me. I just thought that's what love looked like, giving until there's nothing left. His words hit me hard. Ryan, is that what you learned from me, that love means destroying yourself? I don't know. Maybe. You always put me first, always gave everything. I thought that was normal. That's what people who love you do. They erase themselves. He was quiet for a moment. But my therapist says that's not healthy. that real love has boundaries, that sacrifice is only good if it's sustainable, that you can't love someone well if you're not taking care of yourself. I thought about all those years, the double shifts, the ramen dinners, the dreams I'd abandoned. I'd been so proud of my sacrifice, but what had I really taught him? "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I'm sorry I showed you that version of love. Don't apologize. You did your best. You were 19 and alone and scared. You did what you thought was right." His voice cracked. "But yeah, maybe we both need to learn a different way. One where we can love each other without anyone disappearing." After we hung up, I called Dr. Torres for an emergency session. Told her what Ryan said about how my sacrifice had taught him to accept being used. "It's not that simple," Dr. Torres said. "You were a single mother doing your best in impossible circumstances. The problem isn't that you sacrificed, it's that society tells mothers that sacrifice is all they should be, that their worth is measured by how much they give up." She leaned forward. "Vanessa didn't exploit Ryan because you taught him to be exploited. She exploited him because she's an abuser who looks for vulnerable people. That's on her, not you. But if I'd shown him better boundaries, he would have still been vulnerable to manipulation. Because abusers are good at what they do. They find the cracks and wedge them open." Dr. Torres's voice was firm. "Stop taking responsibility for Vanessa's choices. She's an adult who chose to hurt people. Your only responsibility is healing yourself and building a healthier relationship with Ryan moving forward." The trial started on a cold Monday in March, 6 months after the wedding that destroyed my life. I walked into that courthouse wearing one of the outfits Victoria had bought me, professional, put together, nothing like the woman who'd been covered in garbage. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Patricia sat at our table, organized and confident. Vanessa sat at the defense table with her lawyers, looking small and scared. Our eyes met across the room. She glared at me with such hatred, I felt it like a physical force. The trial lasted 3 days. Vanessa's lawyers did exactly what Patricia predicted, painted me as an overbearing, controlling mother who couldn't let her son grow up. They brought in witnesses who said I'd called Ryan frequently, that I'd seemed overly invested in his life, that I'd appeared jealous of Vanessa. But then Patricia presented our evidence. The video played in its entirety for the jury. You could see their faces change as they watched. The initial confusion, then the horror, then the disgust as Vanessa dumped garbage on me while I stood there frozen, and Ryan filmed it laughing. Patricia called witnesses too, my co-workers who testified about what a dedicated employee I was. My landlord who said I'd been a model tenant for 15 years. Dr. Torres who explained the psychological impact of public humiliation and assault. And then she called Ryan. My son walked to the witness stand looking nervous but determined. Vanessa's face went white when she saw him. Patricia started gentle. "Ryan, can you describe your relationship with your mother growing up?" "She raised me alone. My dad left before I was born. Mom worked constantly, double shifts, night school, whatever it took to keep us afloat." His voice shook slightly. "She wasn't perfect. Sometimes she worried too much. Sometimes she held on a little tight. But she loved me. She sacrificed everything for me." "And when you met Vanessa, how did your relationship with your mother change?" Ryan took a breath. "At first it was gradual. Vanessa would make comments about how my mom called too much, how she was too involved in my life, how I needed to establish boundaries. It seemed reasonable at the time. I was an adult, right? I should have some distance from my mother. But it escalated. Yeah, Vanessa started telling me my mom was toxic, that her sacrifices were actually manipulation, ways to control me, make me feel guilty, keep me dependent." He looked at me. I started believing it, started seeing everything Mom did through that lens. A phone call became intrusion, an offer to help became control. I pulled away, stopped visiting, stopped calling, because Vanessa convinced me that's what healthy boundaries looked like. And the wedding night? Ryan's face crumpled. I knew Vanessa was planning something. She'd been talking for weeks about how my mom needed to be put in her place. I thought she meant an embarrassing toast or something. When she pulled out that garbage can, I was shocked. But then, he stopped, struggling. Then I pulled out my phone and filmed it, because by that point, Vanessa had convinced me my mother deserved it. Why did you think she deserved it? Because I'd been brainwashed into thinking my mom was the villain of my childhood instead of the hero. Tears ran down Ryan's face now. Vanessa spent 2 years rewriting my history, making me forget all the good things, all the love, all the sacrifice, until all I could see was an overbearing woman who wouldn't leave me alone. And when Vanessa dumped garbage on her, I thought it was funny. I thought it was justice. The courtroom was silent. When did you realize you were wrong? Patricia asked gently. When Vanessa's mother showed up, Victoria, she called out what was happening, and for the first time in 2 years I saw clearly. I saw my mother covered in garbage, humiliated, destroyed, and I saw what I'd become, someone who could laugh at that, someone who could film it, someone I didn't recognize. He looked straight at Vanessa, someone she'd turned me into. Vanessa's lawyer tried to destroy Ryan on cross-examination, accused him of lying to help his mother, suggested he was angry about the separation and fabricating abuse claims, but Ryan held firm, answered every question calmly, told the truth. When he stepped down, he looked at me, mouthed, "I'm sorry." I mouthed back, "I love you." The final day of trial, Vanessa took the stand. Her lawyers had coached her. She cried prettily, talked about her difficult childhood, explained that the garbage incident was meant as a light-hearted prank that went too far. "I never meant to hurt Evelyn," she said, dabbing her eyes. "I was overwhelmed by wedding stress. My mother had just shown up unexpectedly after years of absence. I wasn't thinking clearly. I made a terrible mistake, and I've regretted it every day since." Patricia's cross-examination was surgical. "Ms. Hale, you say this was a light-hearted prank. How much planning went into it?" "Not much. It was kind of spontaneous, really, because we have text messages between you and your maid of honor from 3 weeks before the wedding, discussing what type of garbage would create the best visual impact. Would you like me to read those to the jury?" Vanessa's face went pale. Patricia continued, "You also posted the video online with a caption mocking Mrs. Carter. That doesn't sound like regret. That sounds like celebration. I was caught up in the moment. You've had 6 months to take the video down, to post an apology, to show any genuine remorse. Have you done any of those things? My lawyers advised me not to. So you've chosen protecting yourself legally over making amends to the woman you assaulted. Is that correct?" Vanessa's lawyer objected. The judge sustained it. But the damage was done. The jury had seen the real Vanessa, calculating, unremorseful, concerned only with herself. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. When they came back, the foreman read the verdict. In the case of Carter versus Hale, we found for the plaintiff on all counts: assault and battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation. We award compensatory damages of $300,000 and punitive damages of $200,000 for a total of $500,000. The courtroom erupted. Vanessa burst into tears. Her lawyers immediately began preparing appeals. But Patricia was grinning. We won. We actually won. I couldn't process it. $500,000, vindication, justice, proof that what happened to me was wrong. And there were consequences for it. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Cameras everywhere. Questions shouted from all directions. "Mrs. Carter, how does it feel to win? Do you plan to reconcile with your son? What message does this send to other mothers-in-law?" Patricia handled them smoothly, while Victoria and Ryan guided me to a waiting car. Once inside, away from the chaos, I finally broke down. "We won," I sobbed. "We actually won." Ryan pulled me into a hug, the first time he'd touched me since before the wedding. "You won. You stood up for yourself and you won." "We need to celebrate," Victoria said, "properly. Dinner, champagne, the works." That night, the 4 of us, me, Victoria, Ryan, and Patricia, went to an expensive restaurant I would never have chosen on my own. We drank champagne, ate food I couldn't pronounce, laughed until we cried. To Evelyn, Victoria raised her glass, for having the courage to choose herself. To Mom, Ryan added, for showing me what real strength looks like. To winning, Patricia said with a grin. To surviving, I said quietly, and figuring out how to live again. The settlement money came through 6 weeks later, $500,000 minus Patricia's fees. I stared at the check, unable to believe it was real. What are you going to do with it? Dr. Torres asked during our session. I don't know. It feels wrong to enjoy it somehow, like I'm profiting from pain. You're not profiting. You're being compensated for damages. There's a difference. Dr. Torres leaned back. What would bring you joy? What do you want that you've never let yourself have? I thought about it. For 30 years, every dollar had gone to survival or to Ryan. I'd never bought anything just for me. I want to travel, I said slowly. I've never left the state. I want to see the ocean, real mountains, different cities. I want to paint landscapes that aren't from photographs. So do it. Just do it. Just do it. You have the money, you have the time, you have permission from yourself to choose joy. Dr. Torres smiled. Stop waiting for permission from anyone else. I bought plane tickets that afternoon to California first. Victoria offered to show me San Francisco, then maybe Seattle, Portland, places I'd only seen in pictures. Ryan helped me plan the trip. We met for coffee once a week now, slowly rebuilding our relationship. It was awkward sometimes. We had to learn how to talk to each other without his guilt or my resentment getting in the way. But we were trying. I'm proud of you, Mom, he said one afternoon, for suing Vanessa, for standing up for yourself. I know it wasn't easy. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, harder than raising you alone. I stirred my coffee. But it taught me something important. What's that? That love without boundaries isn't love, it's self-destruction. I met his eyes. I spent 30 years teaching you that sacrifice is love, that giving everything is normal, that your needs don't matter as much as other people's. I taught you to be a victim, Ryan, and I'm sorry for that. You were doing your best. I was. But my best wasn't always healthy, and now we both get to learn something better. I reached across the table, squeezed his hand. We get to learn that real love includes taking care of ourselves, that boundaries make relationships stronger, not weaker, that you can love someone and still say no. Ryan squeezed back. My therapist says the same thing, that I need to learn what healthy love looks like before I even think about dating again. Smart therapist. Yeah. He looked down at his coffee. I heard Vanessa filed for bankruptcy. Can't pay the settlement. Her lawyers are trying to reduce it on appeal. How do you feel about that? Honestly, sad. Not for me, for her, because she's going to keep doing this, keep hurting people, keep destroying relationships, until she hits bottom, hard enough that she has to change. He looked up at me. Victoria told me about her first husband, about the pattern. I'm not the first person Vanessa's done this to, and I probably won't be the last. No, probably not. I took a sip of coffee, but you got out. That's what matters. Because you showed me how. His voice cracked. You got out first. You chose yourself first. And that gave me permission to do the same. 3 months after the trial, I stood on a cliff in Big Sur, watching the ocean crash against rocks below. Victoria stood next to me, quiet, letting me absorb it. It's beautiful, I whispered. Yes, it is. Victoria put her arm around my shoulders. You know what else is beautiful? You. The way you survived. The way you rebuilt. The way you chose yourself when everyone said you were wrong for doing it. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. I just walked beside you while you found your strength. Victoria looked out at the ocean. Thank you, by the way. For what? For showing me that it's possible to heal from terrible mothers. Her voice was thick. Vanessa may never forgive me for leaving, but watching you and Ryan slowly rebuild, it gives me hope that maybe damaged relationships can recover, that maybe mistakes don't have to be forever. They don't, I said, but both people have to want healing. Both people have to choose it. Vanessa won't choose it. No, probably not. I squeezed Victoria's hand. But you can choose to heal anyway, to build a life that isn't defined by your worst mistake. That's what I'm learning. You can't control other people's healing, but you can control your own. We stood there watching the waves until the sun started setting, painting the sky orange and pink and purple, colors I tried to capture in paintings but never quite managed. I pulled out my phone, took pictures, knowing I'd paint this later. Back in my hotel room, I called Ryan. Hey Mom, how's California? Beautiful, overwhelming, everything I didn't know I needed. I sat on the bed, suddenly exhausted. I'm learning how to be a person again, instead of just a mother. That's good, really good, he paused. I'm learning too, how to be myself instead of what Vanessa wanted or what I thought you needed, just me. Who are you, I asked, when you're just you? I don't know yet, still figuring it out, he laughed. But I like hiking and I'm thinking about going back to school. Maybe studying something completely different from business. My therapist says I only went into finance because Vanessa pushed me toward it. What would you study if you could choose anything? Environmental science maybe, or teaching, something that helps people or the planet, something that feels meaningful. His voice got shy. Is that stupid? No, baby, that's not stupid at all. That's you finding yourself. We talked for an hour about his therapy, about my trip, about small, normal things. When we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, peace. Not happiness exactly. I wasn't naive enough to think everything was fixed, but peace. The knowledge that I'd survived the worst thing I could imagine and come out the other side different but whole. I painted until midnight, the ocean, the cliffs, the sunset, but also something else, a woman standing at the edge of the world, arms spread wide, face to the sky, free, finally, terrifyingly, beautifully free. 6 months after the trial, Ryan and I met for lunch at a small cafe near my apartment. I'd been back from my travels for a few weeks, already planning the next trip. He looked healthier. Color in his face, light in his eyes that had been missing for years. I got a job, he announced, at an environmental non-profit. It doesn't pay much, but I don't need much anymore. I'm learning to live small. It's actually kind of liberating. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you too. Victoria showed me your paintings. Mom, they're really good, like gallery good. I blushed. They're just therapy, really. They're art. You're an artist. Stop minimizing it. He smiled. You spent 30 years minimizing yourself for me. Maybe it's time to stop. Maybe it is. I took a bite of my sandwich. I've been thinking about taking a class at the community college, figure out if this painting thing could be more than therapy. You should. You absolutely should. Ryan reached across the table, took my hand. Mom, I want to say something, and I need you to really hear it. Okay. Thank you for suing Vanessa. Thank you for not backing down. Thank you for choosing yourself. His eyes filled with tears, because if you hadn't, I would still be trapped. Still thinking abuse was normal. Still filming women getting humiliated at weddings and calling it funny. You saved both of us when you stood up for yourself. Ryan, I mean it. The best thing you ever did for me wasn't all those years of sacrifice. It was the moment you said no more. That's when you actually showed me what love looks like. Boundaries and self-respect and refusing to be destroyed. He squeezed my hand. That's the mother I want to rebuild a relationship with. Not the one who erased herself, the one who knows her worth. I was crying now, mascara running, not caring who saw. I love you, I said. Not the old way, the new way, the healthy way where we're both whole people. I love you too, Mom, the new way. 1 year after the wedding, I opened my first art show. Small gallery, local artists, nothing fancy. But my paintings hung on those walls, all the pieces I'd created during the worst year of my life. The drowning woman, the door with light streaming through, the woman behind the closed door, the woman walking away from fire, the woman at the edge of the ocean with her arms spread wide. Ryan came to the opening, so did Victoria, Dr. Torres, Patricia, even my boss from the dental office, where I now work part-time because I didn't need full-time anymore. Look at you, Victoria said, standing in front of the ocean painting. You did it. You survived and you made something beautiful from the wreckage. We did it, I corrected. I wouldn't be here without you. Yes, you would. It might have taken longer. It might have been harder, but you would have gotten here because you're stronger than you ever knew. A woman approached me, middle-aged, nervous, clutching a purse like a lifeline. Excuse me, are you Evelyn Carter? Yes. I saw your story, the lawsuit, everything. Her voice shook. My daughter-in-law. She's been doing the same thing to me, making me feel crazy, making my son choose between us. I thought I was the only one, but seeing you stand up for yourself, she started crying. It gave me courage to set boundaries, to stop accepting treatment that was destroying me. I just wanted to say thank you. I hugged her, this stranger who'd found strength in my pain. You don't have to thank me, just keep choosing yourself. After she left, Ryan came up beside me. Mom, this is incredible. The whole show, your art, you. He looked around at the paintings. You turned the worst experience of your life into something that helps other people. That's really something. It's what we're supposed to do with pain, I said. We either let it destroy us or we transform it into something that matters. Which one are you doing? I looked at the paintings, at the journey from drowning to flying, at the visual representation of my healing. I'm transforming it, one painting at a time. That night, after everyone left, I stood alone in the gallery looking at my work. A year ago, I'd been covered in garbage at my son's wedding, believing my life was over. And in some ways, it had been. That life, the one where I was only a mother, only a sacrifice, only someone defined by how much she gave up, that life had ended. But a new one had begun, one where I was an artist, a survivor, a woman who knew her worth, a mother who loved her son but didn't erase herself for him. My phone buzzed, a text from Ryan. Coffee tomorrow. I want to hear about your next trip. I smiled and typed back, yes, and I want to hear about your hiking plans. This was what recovery looked like. Not perfect, not pain-free, not like nothing bad had ever happened, but real, honest, built on boundaries and mutual respect instead of obligation and guilt. I'd learned the hardest lesson life can teach, that you can love someone with everything you have and still lose them. That sacrifice isn't always noble. That putting yourself last doesn't make you selfless, it makes you disappear. That the people who truly love you want you whole, not hollow. And I'd learned something else, something even more important. That you can survive betrayal. You can survive humiliation. You can survive watching your own child choose someone who hurts you. You can survive all of it and come out the other side, not bitter, not broken, but transformed into something stronger than you were before. The woman who walked out of that ballroom covered in garbage, she was gone, dead, never coming back. The woman standing in this gallery, surrounded by paintings of her own resurrection, she was new, imperfect, still learning, still healing, but alive in a way she'd never been before. And that woman, she was finally, terrifyingly, beautifully free. I turned off the gallery lights and walked out into the spring evening. Tomorrow I'd have coffee with my son. Next week I'd fly to Colorado to paint mountains. Next month I'd take another art class. Next year, who knew? The future was wide open in a way it had never been when my entire identity was wrapped up in being someone's mother. I thought about all the women out there like me. The ones sacrificing everything, the ones being told their boundaries are cruel, the ones watching their children be manipulated by toxic people and feeling helpless to stop it, the ones covered in their own versions of garbage, believing they deserved it somehow. I wanted to find every single one of them and tell them what I'd learned. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. You are not cruel for having boundaries. You are not a bad mother for refusing to be destroyed. Your love matters, your dignity matters. You matter, not because of what you do for others, but because you exist. And if the people in your life can't love you without erasing you, if they can't respect you without controlling you, if they can't appreciate your sacrifice without weaponizing it, then they don't deserve access to you. Family or not, child or not, Love doesn't justify abuse. It never has. It never will. I walked home through the city that had witnessed my destruction and my resurrection. Somewhere out there, Vanessa was probably plotting her next target, learning nothing, repeating patterns. Somewhere, Ryan was learning to be whole. Somewhere, Victoria was making peace with being an imperfect mother who'd raised a damaged daughter but helped save another woman's life. And me? I was going home to my apartment where Ryan's baby pictures still hung on the walls, but now they shared space with my paintings. Where sacrifice and selfhood coexisted instead of one destroying the other. Where I could be a mother and an artist and a survivor and a woman learning to choose joy. I'd survived. More than that, I'd transformed. And if some woman somewhere saw my story and found the courage to dump her own garbage, to refuse to carry what others tried to force on her, then everything I'd been through meant something. That's what we owe each other, really. Not to fix everyone, not to sacrifice ourselves, but to survive loudly enough that others know survival is possible, to heal visibly enough that others know healing is real, to choose ourselves bravely enough that others know choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's salvation. I unlocked my apartment door and stepped inside. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges. Healing wasn't linear. Ryan and I would stumble. I'd have bad days. The scars would ache. But tonight I was enough, just as I was, imperfect and healing and finally free. And that was everything.